Hey y'all, this is Texas Dad, and I've been selling a lot of fruit cuttings lately, and I keep telling everybody we were going to make a propagation video, and we actually did, and we've been having a lot of issues with Adobe Premiere and with our relatively brand new laptop, so I wanted to get this out because I told people this will be out this week, so I'm going live. I'm going to probably not be interacting in the live chat, so y'all have fun there. I'm going to be doing my thing, cranking out this video, and hopefully I'll get it done in less than 20 minutes. And this will be a resource for anybody that buys cuttings. I still have some. I'm doing a couple, 2-3 orders every day. This will be a resource for those people to go to this video and see how I do it. And there's tons of other YouTube videos out there. Check those out. Do what works for you. I've kind of fine-tuned my, hey, good to have me on. Kind of fine-tuned my methods. So, yeah, we've just been having a ton of technical difficulties. First, all the technical difficulties were with YouTube. Now we're having Adobe issues, and there's been multiple updates. And now the laptop's freezing up and everything. It's been crazy. So I'm gonna try to crank out this video. I probably won't interact as much live just so that I can get all the information in here and not goof it up. Single man, what's up? So,
if they have questions.
yeah, if you have questions, leave them in the live chat and we can always come back in and revisit them. We can always do another live doing this. But like I said, been selling a lot of cuttings and I told people that this video would be up. So I'm gonna do it right now. Haven't even eaten dinner yet. I mean, this is the kind of dedication to our subscribers that we just, you know, whatever. But, and I'm going hog hunting tomorrow, so I'm super pumped about that. Got some buffering, try refreshing maybe, but because everything, all the parameters are good on this end. All right, so when you get a cutting, what do? If you go to TheTexasBoys.com, that is our Amazon affiliate store, you should find every single item I reference that I use should be in our Amazon affiliate store, TheTexasBoys.com. I think there'll also be some Amazon affiliate links in the description below. And so I start with the U-line bag. This is a 4x16 U-line bag. You can get them on Amazon. And they are, I'm just going to crank this video out. I can't. Okay. So you can get these on Amazon. They'll be in our Amazon store, TheTexasBoys.com. Start with the U-line bag. The substrate, the medium I use is black gold peat moss and perlite. And I get them from like Ace Hardware. It's very inexpensive for like 3 or 4 cubic yards or like 15 bucks a piece. And the mixture I use is 50% perlite, 50% peat moss. If you want to be more eco-friendly and renewable whatnot, you can use cocoa core. It's the same deal. But the biggest key when mixing this up, I also I use 50% perlite, 50% black gold peat moss, any peat moss, but the ground peat moss, not the striated peat moss. And then I always put in some Mecos mycorrhiza inoculant. That's for your root growth. And then another thing I do is I always do a cup of azomite, which is a trace mineral, azomite. And so you do a 50-50 mixture. Now when you mix your peat moss and your perlite, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to refine it by just rubbing through it like that and breaking it down real small and refined. And then you want to be like a 2-to-1 ratio on your water. And the biggest thing is you don't want your substrate too wet. And I'll show you a couple ways to regulate that. You don't want your substrate too wet because it'll rot your cutting. And this method I have personally used for mulberry cuttings, for fig cuttings. You can do lots of different cuttings like this. So, and the cuttings you can do this for the hardy hibiscus. You can do this for the mulberry. You can do this for the figs. And I'll show you some examples of what's going on. But so first I mix the substrate. Then I add my water, and so now you have your medium, okay? And it's in the U-line bag. Other items you're gonna need are some rubber bands. You're gonna need some pruning shears. You're gonna need a razor blade. You're gonna need a Q-tip. You're gonna need Clonex if you wanna use a rooting hormone. And anything that I reference here that's available on Amazon will be in our Amazon affiliate store. And another thing you're going to need for after these things root out is a product called Natural, and this is an organic fungal gnat controller. And this is going to be important once you take your cutting out of the bag and put it into a some type of pot. And you know, once these cuttings get bigger and get outside, and it's springtime, you're not going to have the fungal gnat issues. Another thing that you may want to use is some parafilm, and you'll see that in the Amazon store too, parafilm. And you're going to want to take your cutting, okay, you're going to want to take your cutting, you're going to want to, if you want to, you're going to want to wrap your cutting from your soil. You want a minimum of 1 node below the soil, maybe 2 depending on how tall your cutting is. So you're going to want to wrap any exposed cutting above the soil in parafilm. This will help keep the cutting moist while it's rooting. Okay, so the first thing you do is wrap it. Now, the next thing, some guys do this, some guys don't. You're going to want a little tip on the rooting hormone. My buddy Billy showed me, you just pierce a little hole in the top of the seal and the rooting hormone, and that allows it to be like a dispenser because you don't need a lot of it, and it's, you know, it's pricey. And another thing I do is I use a paint pen, and I write the name of the variety on my cutting. I'll also write it on the plastic bag itself. This way, if you have 50 or 60 varieties at one time, helps you keep track of it so you know what's what, if you care. And if you don't care, you don't have to sweat that. So you're going to want to put rooting hormone where you scored the cutting. You're going to want to put it on the bud and the nodules, whatever's going to be below soil. And like I said, you don't have to go hog wild on that. Now you take your medium in your bag. Another key thing is you don't want your cutting on the bottom of the bag because you want it to be able to throw roots down. So you want it to like float in the middle here, okay? So you just lower the cutting down into the bag. I apologize for the camera angle. I'm gonna pop it back up here so you can see it. So then you just reduce. Let me know if the glare is okay, because I could switch out the lights. Hey Rufus, hit the top lights and maybe kill that light, because it's just throwing a lot of glare. There we go. And actually that's probably better. That just kills the glare on the... So I nestle the cutting down to the surface. My parafilm's just slightly, barely below the soil level. So there's your fruit pop right there. Now, you're going to take a rubber band, and what you want to do is, I'm going to get it on here first so I don't disturb this thing. So you take your rubber band, and you want to, this is going to help you with fungal gnats by sealing off the cutting to oxygen from the outside, because that's what fungal gnats like to do. And so you're going to gently, you don't want this rubber band putting a lot of pressure on everything. You just want it to basically create a seal to keep oxygen out of there. Not to keep oxygen out, but to keep the fungal gnats out. And then if your rubber band isn't super stretchy, you can always chain link another rubber band onto this rubber band just by putting a hitch in it. And then you just want to secure your rubber band to the bag. If you loop it around the bottom, it's going to compact the soil. You don't necessarily, it's not a problem, you can do that, but you don't necessarily want to do that. Then what I do is I take my Sharpie And this one is, oh boy, this one isn't blah, I forget what this one is. All right, and it's super forgiving, y'all. So just, I forgot to check before I did it what it is. So, welcome to live YouTube. I would have edited this out so I looked intelligent, but I'm not trying to fake anybody out, so I gotta get the rubber band off. I'm just gonna see. I've already written the name on here, so. And this was, oh, this is Golden Riverside. This is Golden Riverside UCD. I got this from Harvey Carrere off of Figaholics, and this is very, very quality cuttings for a very good price. You just have to wait because it's like a 2-day window. You can buy them every year. So Golden Riverside. So I'm gonna put my rubber band back on here. Flipping around. So you just secure the rubber band to the cutting, straighten this guy out. So he's gonna kind of float in there. You want him floating in there. And let's see here. Okay, so then I just write today's date on there, 1/29/19. And let's see here. This is Golden Riverside. I write the name. Now, if you think you got too much moisture in here, you can take a small pin and perf some holes in here. Pop, 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 pop. You can also regulate the moisture level with a heat pad. I keep these on a seedling mat for like sprouting seedlings and stuff like that. That also helps you keep it warm, which promotes root growth, and it will help start to dry this out. Figs especially like it more dry. Mulberries will like it a little wetter, so you definitely won't have to do that with a mulberry cutting. So that is what I do there. Another tip you're gonna want for your U-line bag to load your U-line bag is I just take a plastic cup, cut the bottom out of it, and you make it into a funnel. It'll slide down into your bag. So that's how you can load your bag. All right. You're gonna attach your rubber band, and you just want the rubber band to basically make a necklace around the bottom where it meets the soil, just to keep the oxygen out. Just to keep the oxygen out. And then, like I said, you can double hitch another rubber band to it. For the sake of, this cutting is really short, so we'll see how this goes. This was going to be a graft that I was going to graft onto a tree here in the front room, but I changed my mind. So it's a really small cutting, but there's 3 nodes on it, so it should do its thing. So there you go. And it's just like that. All right, and then I'm going to write the date and name on it. 1/29/19, Golden Riverside.
It's 1/29?
The date.
Oh, I thought it was 1/31.
I'm sorry, it's 1/31.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, what did I? Oh, dude, I'm going backwards, man.
I'm like, really?
Rufus. Yeah, 1/31.
I'm like, yeah, but watch us, you're wrong.
Yeah, no, it's my brain's wrong.
Oh, you want to sign this in so that I can see if anyone's saying anything?
Yeah, you can. Although, nah, that's okay. I'm not on there, so
Okay.
I don't need it. Okay, so this is what it looks like. So I'm going to show you. This is actually a mulberry cutting. Okay, this mulberry cutting already has fruit on it. Those little fuzzy spiky things are actually mulberries. And this was put in the bag on 1/14. And I don't know if you'll be able to see it because of the glare, but we already have some root growth right there. And I'll get you some other examples just to kind of show you real quick of what's going to happen. This is staying on a heat mat. I did not perforate any holes in this. This is a Shangri-La mulberry, and it's already leafing, and it's already fruiting, and it already has roots. It's got multiple roots, and that's in less than 15 days. So it started showing roots like 2 days ago. Let's see here. So I'm going to show you some ones that are further along. You can maintain them in this bag method. As they start to dry out, you can use a turkey baster or something to hydrate them. You just fill your turkey baster with water. You squeeze your water down into the bag. You just slightly release the rubber band. It'll pour down into the cutting, and that way you can hydrate. But the biggest thing is you want these to be much more dry than they are wet. You'll also notice that these will start to dry out. They'll get very light. It'll turn from this dark color where it's moist to like a really pale color, and that's another way you'll be able to notice the moisture. Once these start to set up, there will be a lot of condensation on this bag. Another way you'll be able to monitor the moisture level is just by looking at the condensation on the bag. But I'm going to go grab some ones that are much further along and kind of show you what the process is like. But you can keep these in here if you can keep your moisture level right and the roots don't totally overtake the bag. You can keep these in here till spring if you want to. What I've already done is I've up-potted some of mine that are growing really well and they're taking off. And I got a grow light here. I just got a grow light at Home Depot, swapped it out in the pendant light. So these are under grow light. But this is one that I recently put in a pot and it had no leaves on it, and it's taken off. So now once you get them in the pot, that's when you're going to want to start using the Natural, and it tells you the mixture ratio that you want to use with it. Once it's in the pot, you know, you use your mixture as it's outlined on the package. You're going to want to water your cutting from the bottom, because that's also going to help your fungal gnat issue. And you just take a container, you fill it with water, you set this in here to where about you think the root level is. You set it in there for 5 to 10 seconds, just count to 5 or 10. You take it out and you let it drain a little bit. These sit in a strainer thing, so, but that will hydrate your cutting. Once you got leaves like that, you're gonna have to water it maybe every week, definitely every 2 weeks. I have some of these that have been going for over a month that I haven't watered. I have some of these that have for almost, I guess, 2 months that I've only had to water one time. And you can already see that this is starting to condensate right here. And this will all condensate up and it'll bubble up. But I'll show you a couple. I'm going to run and get a couple more of these just to kind of show you what they're going to look like down the road. And I experiment with moisture levels, and like for example, I got these, I traded these cuttings with somebody from Facebook. We traded varieties. These were only put in the bag on 112. Roots started showing up like within a week, and there's just an enormous amount of root growth. The glare is just terrible. Let me try killing this top side. Yeah, there we go. It's going to be a darker picture, but you're going to be able to see the roots. So you can just see all those roots, and that's just in a very, very short period of time. And this medium was even less moist. Same thing. These were bagged on the 12th. And for whatever crazy reason, there was 4 different varieties that I got from the same person. They all rooted like super fast. And the white chalkiness is the azomite that starts to deposit on the bag. This was all the way back at the beginning of 1-1. This cutting has dried all the way up to here. The roots are still looking good and healthy. White is better than brown because they're not rotting, but brown isn't always necessarily a bad thing. You can see some of these roots as they get a little bit older. They're brown. The roots are actually starting to come out of the top of the bag. So this one's gonna have to go in a pot real soon. And once this is completely dried out to about here, you know, once it gets up to here, I'll probably water it. I may or may not, if I start putting these all in pots, I'm gonna have a whole lot of pots inside. So I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do. And here's a smaller one. This is a Smith cutting, and you can just see all the roots growing on there. This is relatively dried out. Hey, out of Goshen, what's up? So, you know, this is relatively dried out. It's not gonna kill it. One way you know that it's too dry is if the leaves start to wilt and it looks real dry, it's probably because it's too dry. So, but that's about it. If anybody, now one thing I could do is I can jump on here real quick. If anybody's got some questions, I could just answer some questions real quick before we eat dinner. And let me log in. And if anybody has any questions, I'll answer some questions, and then we'll be done. I'll put the overhead link back on so I can see what I'm talking about. All right, so yeah, I just want to thank everybody that is on tonight. And this is for everybody that bought cuttings, just a resource that they can use. And anybody have any questions? And if nobody has any questions, that's cool too. Appreciate all of the moderators being on. We treat the music well, especially since I couldn't participate in the chat at all. And I apologize about that. But like I said, I just wanted to get this video online. We have, yeah, you can totally grow it in a container. I mean, there's a lot of people that start their cutting in a container. You don't have to use this method at all. This method is super portable. I have a ton of them on the kitchen counter. I got a huge shelf. If you look at the thumbnail, I have a big shelf in the front living room with just hundreds of these on there. And it just makes it real easy, real portable. You can move them around. You can transport them. Ideally, you transform them into a container when this bag is almost exclusively roots. Because then you have, now, when you go to up pot this, how long would it last before you needed to plant it in the ground? It would last an incredibly long, I mean, it would absolutely get to spring. And it could last a whole lot longer than that as long as you kept it moderately hydrated. The big issue is when you want to transfer this into a pot, you can do a lot of different lignified fruits like this in this method. Like I said, you can do figs, you can do mulberries, they're in the same family. You can do elderberry like this. I've seen other videos on YouTube, other fruits. You know, stone fruits usually have to be grafted to a rootstock. You can root them like this, but depending on the stone fruit, you know, stone fruits are a little bit different. Yeah, you can do mulberry, elderberry, figs like this. You can do the hardy hibiscus like this. Any kind of lignified cutting should work like this. And the biggest issue is when you go to take this and put it in a pot, you want to very gently score this bag. You want to try to get this out of the bag without disturbing you want to disturb the roots as little as possible because you don't want to damage those young roots. That's why you kind of want to wait as long as you can, because the larger root density, the easier it is going to be to transplant it. And if you damage a couple of the roots, it's not going to kill it. So, but yep, that's all. So let me just see if I missed anybody's questions. Okay. You grow in a container? Yep. All right. Can you use this method with different variety plants? Yep. All right. I hope y'all are staying warm. I know a lot of our friends are frozen right now with -15 or whatever, or -50 feels like the frozen tundra, and it's going to be 78 here in a couple days. But we got the wood stove going here, the fireplace. So all right, y'all. Well, if nobody has any questions, we're going to sign off for tonight. We appreciate y'all. And if y'all want to hang out and chat in the chat, that's cool too. But hope this helps. If anybody that's bought cuttings has any questions, this is going to be another place for them to comment on this video down below. Leave your comments and I'll reply. If anybody wants cuttings, you can, all cuttings are $5 a cutting with a total of $5 for shipping. So if you get 4 cuttings, that's $20 and $5 for shipping, so the total is $25. You can pay our PayPal account. When you make the PayPal payment, designate your shipping address and what cuttings you want. You can instant message us on Instagram. You can private message us on Facebook and just let us know what you want. And we just appreciate everybody. And I wanted to get this out there because I told everybody to be out this week. And we're continuing to have some technical difficulties, so hang with us. The boys just hit 1,000 subs. They're super pumped about it, and we're excited. And they might be making some changes. What did I just say? I said 1,000. That's very exciting. 11,000. And I'm going to drink a cup of coffee, maybe take a nap. And well, I hope you all enjoyed this. Sorry it was rushed, crummy camera angle, kind of thrown together. I just told a lot of people that this would be up this week. And so just making it happen, y'all. We appreciate you. And y'all have a blessed night. And maybe we'll be live on Saturday. Hopefully we're going to finish our deck tomorrow. If the weather cooperates, it's supposed to rain on Saturday. I'm going hog hunting tomorrow afternoon, so sighting in my hunting rifle today. So that the only thing I like more than figs is hunting rifles. So even though I haven't hunted since I'm 12, but we going hog hunting, and we have tons of hogs back here. So we're going to hopefully fill the freezer